Hey everybody, today we are debating whether or not the mind is material, and we're starting right now. Hey friends, stoked to have you here. I am so excited. I honestly just love this. This is like, it's the highlight of my day. I'm like bouncing off the walls, pumped up. First time we've ever had this topic. It's going to be great, a great addition. So we appreciate our speakers first. We want to say thanks to them for being here. And thanks for your patience if you've been waiting. We had a mix up on the start time. How embarrassing. It was all Tom's fault. So, but anyway, we'll go. I'm just kidding. It wasn't Tom's fault at all. I made that up. My fault. I put the wrong time because I emailed them a different time, and now we're going to get started. So, thrilled to have you here. If it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button as we are looking to build a diverse community with different beliefs. So, whether you're a Christian, atheist, Muslim, Jedi, or even Sith, we are glad that you are here. And feel free to hit that sub button for reminders when we're going live. Also, our speakers have their links in the description. See, like right down there in the description box, their links are there waiting for you. So in case you're like, oh snap, this TJump is just off the hook. Is that what people still say? I don't know. That way you can check out his links. So want to let you know about that. And we are not going to take much time. We're going to jump right into this, baby. So, also, really glad you guys gave me feedback. A number of comments actually have said, hey, sometimes your stream starting soon screen takes a long time. Sometimes it does. I'm really sorry about that. Sometimes it's taken like 12. I think one time it even took 20 minutes. So we're working really hard. We're going to try to keep that really short. So thanks for that feedback. That always helps the channel. If you have any other feedback, let us know, as we're always looking to improve. And with that, Praise is going to get us started. He is answering no in this debate. We usually have the affirmative go first, but in this case, we're just going to let Praise go first to give Tom time to gather his thoughts, as that was something that we decided right before going live, that we would have an opening statement. So, Praise, thrilled to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Likewise, James. Well, firstly, I want to thank my brother from another mother, Johannan Rotz, for helping me prepare for this debate. P.S. I won my $100 from YouTube tag Darkin. He was a fan of TJump that bet me $100 in a previous YouTube cast. His name is Darkin. So please pay me on PayPal, which is the same tag as mine, with the gmail.com. So I also appreciate Tom, or TJump, and James for this opportunity. Saying that, I feel this debate is lopsided due to the philosophical grounding and scientific veracity in favor of theistic idealism. Therefore, idealism by way of religious naturalism is a robust and coherent position in contrast to my opponent's position. Not to mention the big pink elephant in the room, such as the hard problem for consciousness and the observer's effect. Physicalism has been empirically negated and therefore rendered obsolete, verified when Bell and Leggett's inequality was falsified by Anton Zellinger in 2007. Paper named An Experimental Test of Non-Realism. Also see New Scientist magazine, June 23, 2007, for the exhaustive negation. Prior to measurement, objects have no defined properties or location. The act of the observer defines the existence of the particle and the properties they entail. Hence, religious naturalism is more substantiated position than scientific naturalism because it provides a meta-narrative that is consistent with modern quantum physics and philosophy. There is no room for a God of the gaps objection because dogmatic naturalism has been a distant memory, has been made a distant memory of scientists. Current scientists subscribe to the Copenhagen interpretation. And at the very least, the Copenhagen interpretation, which is 42% of scientists adhere to the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, which is inherently idealistic. And this is, I mean, you can check this poll out, and it's in Physics and Nature of Reality Conference in Austria in 2011. I'm going to end with this quote here. Why do people cling with such ferocity to a belief in a mind-independent reality? It is surely because if there is no such reality, then ultimately, as far as we could know, mind alone exists. And if mind is not a product of real matter, but rather is the creator of the illusion of matter reality, which has, in fact, despite the materialists have been known to be the case since the discovery of quantum mechanics in 1925, then a theistic view of our existence becomes the only irrational alternative to solipsism. And this is Richard Conn Henry and Stephen R. Palmquist. And with that, I end my time.
You bet. Thanks so much for that phrase. We appreciate that. Now we'll give Tom just a short amount of time, roughly the same, where this is untimed. He will just give a quick introduction of his view, and then we'll jump right into the live conversation. So, with that, thanks for being here. I want to remind you, if you have a question for the question and answer, you can put @ModernDayDebate in the live chat, and then I will fish that question out, put it in a list, and we will ask that at the end of the stream for the speaker that you want to ask, or speakers. Super chats. If you do a super chat, it automatically goes to the top of the list for the Q&A, and it also allows you the option to make a comment toward one of the speakers during the question and answer that they can have a quick response to. Also, Levent Jenser, saw you subscribe. Thanks for subscribing, bud. Glad you're here. And Tom, the floor is yours.
All right, so the question is the mind material or immaterial? As far as we know, the mind is definitely material because we don't know of anything that isn't material. We only know of material interactions, and there is no support that there is anything beyond material to this point. Only 5% of physicists and philosophers are idealists, so essentially there isn't really any support for it at all. It's the same amount as people who deny climate change. So it's a pretty unsupported position overall, and the reason is because it adds nothing to the scientific field. You can't use idealism, the hypothesis, to make predictions. It's completely useless. And you could just say it's an undiscovered natural thing with just new natural properties we haven't discovered yet. There's absolutely no reason to assert that there is this entirely new category which is separate from materialism in every sense when we can verify material things to such a degree that our entire world essentially is based on the science of materialism. So idealism doesn't provide any useful information. It's not a useful theory. It doesn't give us anything. It can't do anything. There aren't any good arguments for it. There are significant problems, and anything that idealism can accomplish, unknown natural phenomenon or unknown material things can accomplish. And materialism makes testable predictions. Like we can predict, like if you damage a certain part of the brain, it'll have this effect on consciousness. We can regularly see that. We can cut the brain in half and get two consciousnesses in the same brain. Is that somehow immaterial? It doesn't seem like it, since we can materially interact with the consciousness. And since there have been recent studies that can show that we can predict a decision someone is going to make 7 seconds in advance of when they're going to make it just by looking at the brain. So we can just look at the material brain and know what the consciousness is going to do before the consciousness knows what it's going to do, which implies it's probably material. This, of course, is not a proof. We can't prove anything in science, but it's significantly strong evidence to conclude it's material, and we, again, have no basis to conclude that there is any immaterial anything.
You bet. Thanks so much, Tom. And with that, we'll just jump right into the open conversation between the speakers. We'll do this for maybe like 45, 50 minutes, and then we'll jump into that Q&A. So, gentlemen, the floor is yours. Thanks again for being here.
All right. Mind if I start, Praise?
Sure.
You said that naturalism had been falsified, something along those lines, and that
yes.
Okay, so then why are like 70% of philosophers naturalists and like 90% of physicists? Why is it that Nima Karni-Hamad quotes to saying that, like most physicists, I'm an atheist? Why is it that everyone in the scientific field is going towards naturalism, and naturalism is getting more popular, not less popular?
I mean, well, I have polls that that disprove that myth. But do you have any citation that shows all these physicists adhere to what you're saying? Do you have any proof of that? Could you provide a citation of that? But then I'll give you a citation of mine as well.
The same one that you just quoted, where you have the Copenhagen interpretation is 42% of physicists.
Yeah.
That one also shows that, which the Copenhagen interpretation, you are incorrect. It is not idealistic in any sense at all. It makes no claims of ontology. It's purely an interpretation, not a theory. But that same poll shows that there are like 40% adhere to the multiverse mini worlds, like 16% show to the pilot wave theory. Those are both completely deterministic, materialistic positions. And they make up the majority of physics, of the interpretations of physics. They make it even more than the Copenhagen interpretation. And the Copenhagen interpretation, again, isn't idealistic. So the same source that you listed shows that most physicists are materialists.
Well, I mean, I completely disagree with that. And I think you can debunk that right away because of the observer's effect. And that is the main tenet of the Copenhagen theory.
Can you go into that a little more? Can you explain how the observer effect refutes naturalism? Because as far as I know, the observer effect doesn't say anything about naturalism. It has no statement about consciousness or dualism or idealism at all.
It does, because it shows that that the human observer is the one that's collapsing the wave function.
I apologize, but no, the definition of observer in physics is purely a mechanical process that's a sensor inside the machine. It has nothing to do with personal observation.
No,
you can just Google definition of observer in physics. That's right. Completely wrong.
Yeah, and they wrote into the problem here with the, let's see here. They give it the problem here. It's, let me find it real quick because I wrote it down. The measuring problem. It runs into the measuring problem, and so it's just what collapses that. Okay, if you're going to have that apparatus that's collapsing the wave function, well, what collapses that wave function? It just comes at an infinite regress, and that's what
the wave function only collapses in the context of small particles. So there is no wave function that's collapsing in the context of things that have already collapsed. So the computers, all of the particles that are in the machines have already collapsed. They're already composed of the machine. The only collapse that's being measured is the one in the experiment. The experimenting machine itself isn't the thing doing the collapsing, or isn't collapsing. We're not measuring that. So that's not even a part of the question. So even though you can go back and say, well, you saw it, and if you didn't see it, well, then how did you know the results? Well, you can say that about everything. It doesn't indicate the observer effect indicates idealism. It doesn't at all, which is why most physicists reject it. In fact, the theory that you're talking about
this is what they call the Van Neumann chain. That it's that you can if you can go with decoherence, the environment collapses the wave function. Well, even the environment itself is a wave function. So then you just go with infinite regress. And I can show you different quotes from Fred Alan Wolf that says it has to be immaterial for that reason, which is absolutely demonstrates idealism.
Right, you're talking about the Wagner-von Neumann hypothesis, which is consciousness collapse, which was refuted by Wagner and von Neumann. They themselves said that they were wrong to apply the quantum microstates to macro states. They rejected their own hypothesis, which is why less than 6% of the polls, I have them, they're listed on Wikipedia, that's where I get them from. The polls say that less than 6% of physicists, when polled, accept the consciousness collapse interpretation of the observer effect. So this doesn't in any way refute the
and that argument has been refuted as well. And lately, you can check this out on Google.
When you say refuted, what do you mean refuted? Because again, the vast majority of everyone who understands the field better than anyone else in the world say you're wrong. So when you're saying that you've refuted this, you must be saying that every one of the professionals in the field is
talking about? Do you have any citation to back up that claim? And also, I have citation that shows otherwise. That Wigner's friend argument. I mean, this experiment that just happened. They showed that it's the consciousness collapses the wave function. Do you even know about this experiment that just happened in this last year?
Well, you haven't told me what it is, so no, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
It's Wigner's friend experiment.
That again does not narrow it down at all. So
it does.
So again,
it completely refutes your old.
You can't refute anything here. Again, the vast majority of physicists reject your position.
And
so
that's
unless you're
just
saying everyone who understands the field is wrong, unless you're saying that everyone who understands the field is wrong, then it's not refuted because it's the majority of the consensus in the field. So that's not an option for you. You can't go down that road until you convince all of those physicists.
This last year, they've debunked that. They've refuted that with Wigner's friend experiment. So no longer is that consensus. I mean, that's viable. There's nothing viable about that old hypothesis. That's been destroyed.
No, they haven't. No, there's no.
I'm just giving you the name of the experiment. Look it up yourself.
You can do that. Again, there's been no change in the consensus. There's no effect here. There's no sweeping result here that consciousness is a thing. I can just say, there's been a test done last week by physicists that prove God doesn't exist. Aha, we're done. Like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but see, this is the problem. If you invoke the consensus card, firstly, consensuses are irrelevant because experimental falsification always trumps a consensus. And you can check this in MIT Technology Review. It shows that Wigner's friend experiment conducted earlier this year falsifies the previous consensus about consciousness supposedly not causing collapse. This is MIT Technology Review. It's right there. And your consensus card is irrelevant anyway because, like I said, experimental falsification always trumps a consensus.
Right. If they actually did do falsifiable tests that demonstrated there was a consciousness collapse thing, then yes, that would be good evidence. It's just you're wrong. You're just factually incorrect about that.
I mean, it's right. Look it up yourself. So I don't know what else to say.
I've already know what you're talking about.
You're going to shift the goalpost. That doesn't mean anything.
You're right. That didn't happen. Okay, so that's an incorrect interpretation.
Okay, if it doesn't deny reality, then. Plus, I have another poll that shows 22% of physicists believe consciousness collapses the wave function. I have the citation for that. More importantly,
the poll shows that 6%. So okay, well, 22% is still a minority. So my majority still wins.
But that is within the realm of scientific acceptability. Plus, more importantly, 55% actually said math indicates consciousness collapses the wave function anyway. So really, it's math 55.
Causes collapse. Math is abstract. It can't do that. It's not even possible.
Well, that's what quantum mechanics is. Quantum mechanics is mathematical probabilities. Did you know that?
Quantum mechanics is a description of how the quantum world works. It's a description of physical things that exist in the world. The math isn't actually a part of the universe. The math is describing things that exist in the universe.
No, the language of quantum mechanics is symbolic. It's just mathematical symbols representing a vector with properties. However, until a photon is actually observed by the observer, will the electron or the photon come into reality? The photon has to be operated on for it to exist. In fact, as quantum physicist Fred Alan Wolf explained in his interview, that we can call this a quantum xeno effect. Therefore, the observer cannot be material because it would lead to an infinite amount of possibilities and never a collapse. So, I mean,
again,
I use Henry's tap as well.
That's wrong immediately because all of those different interpretations, the pilot wave, the mini worlds, the multiverse, the Copenhagen interpretation, all of those can explain that without all of the gobbledygook about consciousness, and they do, which is why most physicists aren't idealists.
And again, I'm saying the observer's effect trumps what you're saying. They're your arguments there.
No, the observer effect
I'm giving you evidence here through the double slit experiment.
Giving me nothing. You've said nothing of value. Because again, all of that is explained by the naturalist physicists, the majority of which are naturalists, and they all explain the observer effect perfectly fine without any reference to idealism. So you're just asserting these things with nothing. You've presented no evidence. You've just asserted common tests, which are explained by everyone in the field, the majority of which reject your hypothesis, and you said, I can explain it, therefore mine must be right. But no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, but I'm explaining, though, that your objection doesn't work because the von Neumann chain shows that it's an infinite regress. So you're left with nothing. You're rendered it's futile what you're trying to argue.
Infinite regress, dogmatism, and circular reasoning is the Grippist limit. It applies to all claims to knowledge. So that objection doesn't in any way weaken my point at all. So yes, does it end in an infinite regress or dogmatism or circular reasoning? Of course it does, just like your position does. We can't absolutely prove anything with absolute certainty, and you can always just regress it more and say, my theory could still be there with ad hoc reasoning.
And then not to mention the measurement problem as well. And you run into that, you've circumvented that. You haven't addressed that. You just impose these supposed things on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is pretty useless compared to modern quantum physics.
Wikipedia is a source of references. You can find the references, and the references are the important part, not the Wikipedia part.
Well, let's hear them. Please give it to me. I'm giving my references.
Tell me how the measurement problem indicates idealism. Because again, it's just a common physics problem. All of the naturalists explain it perfectly fine. You just seem to be asserting it has something to do with idealism, which no one accepts.
Because that it's just... It becomes what becomes the next observer. What observes that? What observes that? What collapses that wave function? It just becomes, like I said, infinite regress.
Yeah, and we could be in the matrix too. We don't reject the physical world because we could be in the matrix. So that's not really. I don't care about that argument. It doesn't help your position at all.
Well, it shows that you have no operating paradigm to demonstrate that reality is a material. What do you have? What evidence can you show that reality is? And then that's another thing I wanted to address you. And you said that, it's an empirical fact that we live, that material exists. Well, what evidence do you have of that? What can you even demonstrate? Can you even define what material is?
Right, so we can make empirical predictions and then empirically verify those results, which is not an absolute... Can you
define what material is? Can you demonstrate that?
No, I can come up with a definition if you want, but we define material as the things that we can measure and interact with. But again, so you're right that naturalism doesn't make up an all-encompassing answer like theism does to try and answer these absolute questions of infinite regress. We just say we don't know. That's the answer. We can. Scientists can say, there's this naturalistic pantheism thing, and it's all-powerful, and it has these laws that we just don't know about yet, and we can make up ultimate answers that prove the entire universe is purely physical, that are equally or more reasonable than theism, but since all of that stuff is unsupported, scientists don't do that.
But you said you don't know, but then you're going to say that that's the consensus. I mean, that's the fundamental position. If you don't know, how could that be the fundamental position?
The fundamental position is that we don't have absolute knowledge, so we only use the tentative knowledge we have, and the tentative knowledge we have is of the material.
Well, then how can you say scientific materialism is the default position? It can't be just based on your own reasoning you just said.
Tom, one sec. I just want to give, praise. I just want to give Tom a quick chance to respond. I don't think he was quite done.
Okay, so again, there's this tentative knowledge, this limited knowledge we have now, and then there's absolute knowledge. We don't have absolute knowledge. In the tentative knowledge we have now, materialism is more supported than anything else. That's how we do science and build planes and computers and all this stuff. Is it proven? No, we can't prove it's material, but we have good evidence of its material. We have no tentative evidence of immaterial anything, and we have no absolute evidence either way. So we have good tentative evidence of material, bad tentative evidence of immaterial, and we have bad absolute evidence for both, which means the material one is supported by everything we have, and the immaterial one is supported by nothing.
You can't even define what material is, so how can that be the default position? I'm not objecting to the scientific method. I'm objecting to your scientific interpretation. I mean, your materialistic interpretation of it. So you just brought up a non sequitur that had nothing to do with what I'm arguing.
Well, it sounds exactly like what you're arguing. So again, the scientific interpretation is based off combinations of the tentative knowledge we have now. We take those, we build them, put them together in different ways like Lego pieces to build a model of reality. That's what science is.
I like the scientific method. I agree. I subscribe to the scientific method, yes. But what you're talking about is another issue. You're trying to say that mind is material and reality is material, but you can't even define what material is in the first place. You can't even demonstrate that objectively. So your position is self-refuting.
Anything objectively. We can't ever demonstrate anything objectively. That is the absolute knowledge, which we have no absolute knowledge. All we have is tentative knowledge. Yes, I can define material. Material is the stuff that we can physically interact with. There you go. I created a definition.
Stuff. So you're calling it stuff.
Right. I'm calling it stuff. Stuff that we can interact with. We can demonstrate. Yes.
Well, I mean,
if you want,
idealists have this. I mean, okay. Do you think idealists can still interact with stuff? So, I mean, that to me is useless. That's an irrelevant argument.
Well, how do you interact with idealist stuff? Like, how do I touch the consciousness stuff? How do I move it?
It's your will. Everything is driven off your will. There's.
I can't touch my will. How do I touch the consciousness stuff?
Well, that's a circular argument. I mean, to me, that also begs the question. Just because you think it's supposed to be physical doesn't mean it has to be physical.
Okay, let me put it to you a different way. If I imagine a unicorn, I don't experience a unicorn in front of me. There's some difference between my imagination and the things I'm experiencing. I can use some method to differentiate between these two called the scientific method. I can scientifically demonstrate there is not a unicorn in front of me because it doesn't make testable predictions. I can't verify it empirically with any kind of methodology. Therefore, it's imaginary. Now, can you give me a way to tell that your explanation isn't just an imaginary unicorn like the scientific method? How do you differentiate it from imaginary?
Because quantum mechanics shows that an immaterial observer has to collapse the wave function. Like, given arguments for that.
That's made up. That's totally made up. Again, 6% of physicists are idealists. So again, that does not in any way support your conclusion.
Actually, it's 22, but anyway, 50% say math collapse, or with math allows consciousness to collapse the wave function anyway.
That sounds like completely made up nonsense. Please provide your source.
Okay, and I'm going to send it to you. What do you want me to send it to? Like let me send it to James? I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. I'll send that to you.
Say it? Could you just say it? Title, link?
Well, something? I mean, I gave you the convention it was at. Here, let me get it real quick. Let's see.
In the meantime, I just want to take a quick second to say, Diomi, thanks for subscribing. We saw you did, and we're glad you did. So, a reminder, whether you're a Christian, atheist, or any of these strange creatures in between, we're glad you are here as we are trying to build a neutral and you could say thought diverse community here. So thanks for letting me cut in, guys.
It's cool. Yeah, it was, gosh, I can't believe I'm trying to fumble this right here. Just give me, I mean, I can't find it right now, but I'll send it to you after because it was in my opening. So
yeah, I'm sure if I take 5 seconds to look at it, I'm going to show it doesn't in any way indicate the conclusion that you're asserting. It's probably going to be pretty simple to demonstrate that, and I'd be happy to do it. And I can send it to James can put it in the description or something. So again, all the things you're claiming, the vast majority of physicists, even if I grant you're 22% of physicists, that means that 78% say it doesn't. So again, the vast majority of people who understand the topic are saying that you're wrong, and you're making these sweeping statements like, oh, well, naturalism has been falsified, yet 80% of physicists are naturalists for some reason. Makes perfect sense. Like, no, you don't get to say that.
And how do you come to that conclusion just because 22% say that consciousness collapses the wave function? I mean, that doesn't mean automatically that non-consciousness does. I think that's a false dichotomy, and who knows how the poles are, I mean, who knows how the polls are, even how they question the polls. So I'm saying, like, you made it that into a false dichotomy there. I mean, people can say, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be anything that could cause the wave function. There's many worlds. There could be,
so as far as I know, it's either different consciousness or not consciousness. I think those are the two options. I don't know how you get it.
Well, I mean, direct. I mean, it could be direct. It could be even dualism. They can think maybe a dualistic interpretation. I don't know. I'm saying you please provide.
That would all be in the consciousness. So it's still consciousness or not consciousness. Those are still the only two options.
I don't know how the polls. So I'm saying if you don't know how the polls were questioned, then you have no right to say that the other 80% are non-idealists or believe that the mind collapses wave functions. So you have no credibility to say that because you don't even know the questions of the poll.
which is why I asked you to provide it. So I mean, I'm
No,
just going off.
that is a completely different poll. I'm talking about another poll.
So provide that poll too.
So what I'm trying to find right now, I had my opening. So I mean, you could rewind at the beginning of the show.
I can't rewind on live stream. I don't have that option.
I mean, well, after you can. So I have other evidences soon. I'm going to try to find that during this time, during this debate.
What evidence? Go for it.
Okay, brain plasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Yes.
Who do I blame? Neuroplasticity.
See, okay. I'll explain that there are several conclusive studies providing empirical evidence for brain plasticity. For example, consciousness has the ability to change the structure of the brain. Frontier Psychology, June 10, 2013. If the brain and consciousness were part of the same infrastructure, then changing how we think would not affect the structure of the brain. Hence, another compelling evidence the mind is immaterial.
No, that's like dominoes. We're saying if you have a row of dominoes and the first domino hits the second domino, then the second domino will affect the third domino. So the fact that our consciousness is a result of physical processes, and then our consciousnse can affect other physical processes, there's no contradiction there with naturalism. Like what you just said makes no sense.
No, it does make sense. It's because your worldview is circular. You're trying to interpret from your worldview. But what it's saying is that that has to be immaterial because it changes the structure of the brain. So I mean, why? There's nothing in the brain that would necessitate a physical change because it's already physical in the first place. So it has to be outside.
No,
of the
it's
brain.
Again like dominoes. You can have some physical effect that affects consciousness, which then consciousness goes back and affects the physical thing. So
no, because it would be part of the infrastructure if that was the case.
Right, like I can say my hands can affect my face when I face palm. Like yeah, it can. There's three things there. There's my brain causing the signal to go to my hand, and then the hand coming back and hitting my face. So consciousness is just like the hand; it's a physical thing. There's no contradiction there.
But that's not. It's not a chemical thing, though. It's by changing how we think can change the structure of the brain.
Right, because how we think is physical. You just presented there. Hands can hit face. Physical processes in the brain. All of that's physical. No contradiction there.
But how do you know that changes the infrastructure of the brain? I'm saying, I mean, you're just trying to like shift the goalposts.
I can take an electrode, I can stick it in my brain and change the structure of my brain with the electrode. The consciousness is a physical process like the electrode, this electrical biochemical process in the brain, which causes the brain to change like an electrode. It's a physical thing. I don't see how you're even coming to that conclusion. It makes no sense.
That would not make the brain plastic, though. That makes no. If you're just, it's a circular argument. It's begging the question again. Something outside the brain has to make the infrastructure or the structure of the brain to change. And just putting an electrode up there does not change the infrastructure. I mean, do you have any evidence of that? That's just another assumption or claim. Please provide citation for that.
All of neurology. Neuroplasticity is a well-described phenomenon of a physical process in the brain. We have this well explained. Again, most neurologists are naturalist physicalists, so your position is just completely contrary to the consensus of everyone who understands the field.
But that's irrelevant to science, though. I don't care what their beliefs are. I mean, most of these atheists, they might hate God, so why would I care what they believe? I mean, show me scientific evidence that what you're claiming.
All science. Everything in science is naturalistic.
What? Everything just give me some evidence.
All of science. Pick a field. Google search to say any study in neurology, there's your evidence. Naturalism can make testable predictions. Idealism can't. That's the evidence.
Yeah, and I don't believe that. I just think you need to provide citation for that. So
every study ever done.
Where? So show me anything which you're claiming has been cited in the literature.
The fact that materialism can make testable predictions, and everything in neuroscience is a testable prediction made by materialism, is the evidence. So everything in the entire field is the evidence.
That has nothing to do with changing the infrastructure of the brain. I'm asking you, show me how the brain is mechanistic, where it just changes itself without any consciousness. I mean, do you even believe in consciousness. I mean, what is consciousness to you anyway?
Right. I think consciousness is a function of the brain. So again, every study on neuroplasticity is the evidence. Just anything. You want me to just Google PubMed?
I mean, I can say the same thing. I can say every study on neuroplasticity is for idealism. Prove me wrong. I mean, I can say the same thing.
Okay.
That's just an assertion.
Here we go. I can do that. It's very simple. Materialism can make future testable predictions and get it right. Can idealism provide evidence?
So that's the name of the citation, or is that you're just blabbermouthing something that you wanted to say? I don't know. I mean, give me a citation, an article, a peer-reviewed article, or something that demonstrates what you're claiming. I mean, I have other evidence too. I'd like to, address that as well, and you can, like tackle that as well. There's a condition called hydrocephaly.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, here we go. Molecular mechanisms, neuroplasticity, and expanding. Boom, there you go. Neuroplasticity-related mechanisms underlying the antidepressant-like effects of traditional herbal medicines. Neuroplasticity-based technologies and interventions in restoring motor function in multiple sclerosis. There you go. These are all naturalistic.
What does that have to do with what I said, though? I said consciousness can change the infrastructure of the brain. I didn't talk about pills or anything like that. Why?
Yes,
to me that's irrelevant.
There's no contradiction here. So again, everything.
You have to.
I don't think you understand the point. I don't think
you have to address what I'm saying, though.
I don't think you understand the point. The point is that naturalism can make future testable predictions. Naturalism can show it's not just an imaginary thing.
That's begging the question.
No, it's not. That's not how begging the question works. Begging the question, you have to start with the premise, and your conclusion has to be in one of the premises.
And that's what you're doing.
Say that. Where? Show where my conclusion and premises are the same.
You're starting with the premise, naturalism is true, and then you're ending with the premise because naturalism is true.
Nope. I said I can tell the difference between something in my imagination and something with my experience. To do this, I can make future testable predictions. Using naturalism, I can make future testable predictions. Therefore, naturalism is not something in the imagination. None of those premises are naturalism is true. So no, it is not begging the question. So my question to you is, can you use idealism, assume idealism is true, make a testable prediction, verify it with experiments?
Yes, and this is a double slit experiment.
Experiments, we've already done that. You can't use that.
Yes, I can. I even have citation where people have done it. It already has happened.
Consensus in the field says you're wrong, so that doesn't support your conclusion.
Well, I have consensus that show your consensus is whack anyway. I gave you Wigner's friend.
Which doesn't help your position at all. So again, you can list things in physics, but again, everything in the field of physics confirms my position, since the majority of people who understand the field support my position and all of the evidence for it. So it doesn't help your position to list.
That's a claim you haven't substantiated yet.
You could just Google anything you want. Again, the polls on the von Neumann-Wigner Wikipedia page show this. 6% of people polled accept that consciousness collapse has anything to do with.
That is false because it's 22%.
You can look at the data.
But you still haven't shown the parameters of that poll. What kind of questions were even asked? What kind of options were given? And I think
you can go look that up if you want. Feel free. Even if I accept your 22%, you still lose because that's 78% say you're wrong.
But like I said, how do you know the parameters of the poll?
You're questioning your own polls and your own evidence. If you wanted to present evidence that your interpretation is correct, it would have to be a majority to show that isn't the case. And you haven't provided them.
Well, the majority believe math can cause consciousness to collapse the wave function.
It's 57%.
Bullshit.
No one believes that. Nope, that's wrong. And I'm happy to prove it to you. Send me the link. I will read it in 5 seconds.
I found my citation. It's Quantum Physics and the Nature of Reality Conference in Austria 2011. There's your citation.
What is the claim? What is the name of this study?
That no, these are a poll. This is not a name of a study. It's a poll.
Yes. The name of the poll. You just listed a conference, but you didn't name the name of the poll, who published the poll, the year it was published.
42% adhere to the
I can't just Google the name of
Copenhagen.
the name of the conference and find the poll. You have to give me something about the poll, like the ISNB or some kind of citation number. I can't just Google the conference and then find the poll. It doesn't work that way.
I mean, that's what they cited for the poll. So that's up to them. That's their problem. It's not my problem. So, I mean, you can just put it in Google search. I mean, you just put a Google search in there. Just put in.
Who is they cited?
Just put in quantum physics in the Nature Reality Conference in Austria 2011. It's that simple.
Okay, I did, and there's nothing about a poll here. What am I looking for?
Looking for the Copenhagen.
You said they. Who are the people who did the study? Who are the people who did the poll?
These are physicists. This is actually, it was produced by Zellinger.
Zellinger, that helps. Poll. How do you spell it? Zellinger.
Zellinger.
All right, I can't find anything. I've Googled the name, I've Googled the conference, I've Googled the year. There's nothing here.
Well, I'm going to send to, I guess, James after this if we can't find it. But you were saying like, well, everything is material or naturalistic. Well, I'm saying right now that's been falsified. It's been debunked by Leggett's inequality, and that's been falsified. So you cannot say that there's even such a thing.
It's not an option. That's not an option. You can't say it's been falsified when the majority of physicists say it hasn't been falsified. Like, no.
I could care less what they think because there's science that actually debunks that.
Right. I care what the actual scientists who know what they're talking about.
Zellinger, 2007, debunked realism. There's no such thing as realism in science.
Except vast majority of science are realists. The vast majority of physicists are realists.
Who cares? Again, what if scientists are vegetarians? Who cares? That's irrelevant.
Your argument is climate change is fake because of this poll that I don't understand how to read.
It's not a poll. I just gave you science. I gave you a science, a scientific. Your misinterpretation of science.
You're a pseudoscientist interpreting pseudoscience.
Prove it.
It's very simple. Look at the people who understand the field. How do they interpret it? How do the people who understand physics interpret that data? Interpret that testable prediction?
Are you saying just because they're an authority that makes it true?
In science, the consensus is the highest authority. Yes.
That is a fallacy. That is a fallacy.
No, it's not.
That is an argument from authority. Yes, it is.
In science, there are tens of thousands of facts. No individual knows all of the facts. And the facts are connected in a way that creates like a graph. And every person you can think of as like a point on that graph connecting the things. If you come up with a ridiculous interpretation that contradicts the vast majority of people in that field, it's going to shift how those facts align in such a way that it's going to completely change how science is perceived.
So, okay,
if you want to create...
Okay.
If you want to say that your ridiculous interpretation is the correct interpretation, you have to convince all of those people that all of their interpretation of all of those facts you don't know is incorrect because of your silly interpretation. The reason pseudoscience isn't accepted is because you can't do that. You just have a silly interpretation of the data. The majority of people who understand it, who understand the most about the facts of every part of the field, say that's ridiculous. They know more than you. They're more likely to be right.
Give me 1 second.
You just contradicted. Okay.
I know that you have as we say, have a round in the chamber ready to go. But if we're able to move to maybe like one last concluding either argument or subcomponent of an argument.
Yeah, I had another argument I'd like to bring up as well.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, I was bringing up a condition called hydrogencephaly, and this condition has people's brains. Both sides of their brains is missing. The whole gray matter is not even there, and these people still have cognitive function and they have consciousness. So right there, that obviously screams the brain is immaterial. There's your empirical evidence that the brain is immaterial. I mean, the mind is immaterial.
Could you spell that? Hydrogen, what's it?
Yes, HYDRANCEPHALY.
All right, so yeah, no, that's not in any way indicative of a non-physical mind, because there's lots of things about the brain we don't understand yet. So there can be things that function in the brain without the
That's
measurable.
the science of the gaps argument. See, I love how
Right.
you just switch it to
No, that's
science
right.
of the gaps when you don't have the answer, and you just contradicted yourself too. If you have no answers of what's going on, or you don't have the answers, how the hell could you say there's facts that's supporting your position? That's a self-contradiction.
If you see a white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, and you don't know what the next one is, and you say white goose, that's called induction. That's completely reasonable. That's not a science of the gaps. That's just science. Now, if you see white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, and say there's a black goose in the next one, that's a black goose of the gaps. That's your position. Science is perfectly reasonable to say the next result is going to be natural, because all of the previous ones have been natural. Everything we've ever discovered about the world.
But you don't even know what natural is. You can't even demonstrate
Praise.
natural exists.
Crazy.
Yes, we can.
You gotta
Okay, my bad.
let Tom jump finish really quick, and then we'll come back to you, I promise.
We can come up with any definition we want for naturalism. It's just the stuff we can interact with, test, and variably predict. If you want to say that there is something other than that, something that is sufficiently different from the stuff we can already verify, you need to come up with a definition, not me. We have the verifiable stuff. We don't need this magical definition you're asking for.
Okay, like I said, naturalism, what they call realism, was debunked by Anton Selinger. Even his paper, look it up, An Experimental Test of Non-Realism. Also, see the New Scientist magazine, June 23rd, 2007. And these experiments debunk realism. There is no such thing as naturalism. Period. There's nothing objective about reality. You have no scientific basis to show otherwise.
The climate change was debunked by Al Gore. Oh God, we're done. Oh, what are the scientists going to do? It's been debunked. Well, we just.
You ever heard of Bell and Lingus inequality? They were falsified. Look this stuff up, man. It should be right there, your fingertips, but you don't want to because it contradicts your worldview.
Oh God, science and medicine have been debunked by alternative medicine. What are we going to do? Oh, the science is just going to have to retire and just go home.
I guess that's not real science because you declare it's not science. Okay.
Just asserting that it's been debunked when the majority of the field reject your hypothesis is evidence of nothing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the homeopathers and.
Why would I care what Hoover does the consensus anyway? I mean, show me science. That's what matters, not a consensus.
When I go to the doctor, I want a doctor who knows what they're talking about to operate on me. I want the consensus to use verified medicine to treat me. I don't want some kind of nut job interpretation of ridiculous nonsense. No thanks.
So it's true because it's true. So it's true because the consensus says it's true. Yeah, fantastic reasoning there.
No, it's not true in the absolute sense. It's true in the empirical demonstrable sense. If we can empirically demonstrate it,
what
I'm going to go with the
proof? Show me the empirical proof.
Sorry, always get you guys mixed up. Praise, if you can do me a favor and just let Tom Jump finish that last one. I appreciate your spiritedness and that you're passionate.
I'm just trying to invoke. I mean, I like to test people and make them think for themselves. And if I come across as a little bit belligerent, I apologize for that.
I promise we'll give you a response.
No, I enjoy it. I love it. Don't stop being belligerent. It's awesome. So again, when I go to the doctor and I get treated, I'm going to go with the consensus, not some whack job theory, because the consensus has been tested and demonstrated and verified to work. So that's why, consensus isn't absolutely true. We can't prove it's true, but it's more likely to be true than anything else we've got because we can demonstrate it.
Okay. Like I said, consensuses are irrelevant when it comes to testing and like I was mentioning earlier. To me, that's a circular argument. It's begging the question.
It's not just the test. You have to interpret the data in a way that indicates one conclusion over the other. If you were right and that the test does indicate like a non-physical consciousness, then it would be interpreted that way by the majority because it actually indicates that.
And how do you know they don't have a bias?
Everyone has a bias. That's the reason we use a consensus.
Exactly, and that's why science trumps what you're saying.
No. All of science is interpreted. You have to interpret it. You can't just read data and data is the answer. No, it's all
But you
interpreted.
just said everyone has biases.
Yes, everyone does have biases.
So that makes consensus irrelevant.
No, that's what makes consensus relevant, is because everyone has different biases. And so the biases cancel each other out to leave the most likely thing to be true.
I mean, that's special pleading to the max. I just don't see how you can come to the conclusion like someone has a bias and all of a sudden it makes it true. That's special pleading.
No, like if we have 10 people in a room and they're all biased because they all have one theory that they think is right and everyone else's is wrong. Now, if they come together and there's one theory that actually works to do things, then it doesn't matter what their biases are, because the one theory can be demonstrated to work better, so more people are going to adopt it and not their own personal theory. So the biases cancel each other out when you have a large group. That's why you have consensus. That's why consensus is important. It filters out the biases.
Experimental falsification always trumps a consensus. Period.
No, experimental falsification has to be interpreted by people who read it. So it is the science with the interpretation. You can't just have tests. They don't just exist on their own. They have to be interpreted. So the consensus is, again, the highest authority in science.
Okay, what proof do you have of those consensuses, what they interpret, how they interpret that their interpretations are right?
We don't have proof of anything. All we have is the testable reliability. That's it. We don't have proof of anything.
Now you're just going right. You're changing your view. Now you're saying that the experiments are more important than the consensus. Then you change it to the consensus. So what is your position?
I don't understand what you're saying. I've contradicted. What have I contradicted?
Okay, 1 minute you're saying that consensus, what they say is important, and then when I challenge you on the consensus, you change it to, well, it's what the experiments say. So what is it?
They can't come up with a consensus without the experiments. So they're not like they're sitting in their rooms and just thinking about a consensus. They look at the experiments and then interpret those to the consensus. So it's both of those together. You can't just have the experiments don't just exist on their own. They don't just determine truth because of the experiment. You have to take the experiment and put it in the context of how it relates to all of the web of belief, as W.V. Quine put it. It is the consensus of the facts of the experiments. Like, I don't know what you're not understanding here.
Okay, I'll ask that question again. How can you demonstrate the interpretation of the consensus is right, or justified, or whatever you want to call it? How can you demonstrate that?
If we can use the interpretation to make future testable predictions that are verified, that's how.
Okay, do you have any evidence that there is futurable testable evidence of what you're claiming?
Which of materialism, yes.
Okay, can you give me some future testable hypothesis? Can you share some of those?
All of science in the past
is true.
All of the neuroplasticity papers, all of the scientific published papers in biology, all of the ones in neurology, all of the ones in geology, all of the ones in physics, all of the ones in cosmology, astrophysics, chemistry, everything. All of that is natural things interacting, which made testable predictions about other natural things, which we then verified to verify that we have reason to believe naturalism is correct.
That's circular. You're just claiming something and claiming it's true. I mean,
no, I never said that. Tell me, you claimed it was circular. Which premise is the conclusion? Which premise?
You're just saying, well, I say this, I say that, I say that's true because, I mean, that's true. You got to give me some type of evidence to back that up, some type of justification to back up your claim.
So I'll give you the argument again. You can tell me which premise is in the conclusion and tell me how this is circular. So again, you have to demonstrate something like, so again, if I imagine a unicorn, I don't see a unicorn in front of me. There is some difference.
We're not talking about unicorn. That's another non sequitur. Please, what you were saying. You said that all science is
phrase. I'm trying to explain this to you as simply as possible. There is some difference between our imagination and our experience. So we have to tell, of any explanation we have, is it something in our imagination or is it something that exists in the world independent of our imagination? The way we can tell whether or not something is in our imagination or is in the world as an actual real thing is, can we use it to make future testable predictions? If we can use it to make future testable predictions, that's a reason to believe it exists in the world and doesn't just exist in our head. So we can say, if naturalism is true, we can use that assumption to make predictions into the future. And if those predictions are confirmed reliably, that's a reason to accept naturalism as true.
Okay, I'm asking for evidence that of what you're claiming is true. I mean, some type of citation, some type of link or resource or source, something that you can show to demonstrate this is true. I mean, you're just. I mean, it's just like I was saying earlier, you're begging the question. You're starting from the same thing and just making it.
If you want to claim begging the question, you have to tell me which premise is in the conclusion. If you can't do that, you can't claim begging the question.
Because you're saying naturalism is true, that means, well, that
I gave you the whole argument. I never said naturalism is true in any of those statements, only in the conclusion. So which premise is in the conclusion?
But you're starting with the premise naturalism is true. Yes, you started with that premise.
None of my premises said that. Which one of my premises said that? You can go back, go rewind the video, find which premise says naturalism is true.
You said, I heard you say that. You said naturalism. If we start with naturalism is true, then that means that we have testable and hypothesis in the future that it's true.
No,
I mean, that's circular.
No. I'm saying for anything ever, we have to tell the difference between it, whether it's imaginary or whether it's a physical thing. Is it something we made up, or does it really exist? That applies to naturalism, that applies to supernaturalism, that applies to God and unicorns and leprechauns and idealism, to everything. Is it something that is real, that exists in reality, or is it something we made up in our imaginations? To do that, we need to be able to use it to make testable predictions. If we can make testable predictions that verify it, we have a reason to believe it exists in reality and isn't something we made up. We can do that with natural things, with materialism. We can't do that with idealism. That's the evidence.
Okay, but I showed you evidence there is no such thing as naturalism in the first place. It was falsified.
Again, that's just wrong.
We're gonna jump into the Q&A. Praise, I know that you want to give a response, and I'm sorry for cutting you off.
It's all good.
We are going to jump into the Q&A, and we will read off your questions. Excited for these. So, what we have first is Super Chats. Thanks so much. Edgar Ecure, make sure if I'm pronouncing it wrong, make sure to correct me. Thanks for your super chat. Saw it and didn't see a question attached to it. If it was just meant to be a way to support the channel, we appreciate it. If you have a question, just fire it into the live chat and we'll read that off. And yeah, so thanks for your support. And Genius Tracks, thanks so much for your super chat as well. They said, I can't rock with praise. His whole argument is conjecture regarding things he doesn't understand and qualified folks disagree with. Praise, if you want to give a response, you are welcome to. Don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that he's just projecting there. I mean, what evidence does he show the contrary that I'm wrong? I mean, please show me that this stuff is empirically what he's claiming. So, I mean, I can switch it around and put the same argument back on him.
Gotcha. We have another question. Thanks for that. Krag Nightwolf, appreciate your question. And they asked, is information any more true or false when you have naturally occurring chemicals in your brain or magically endowed chemicals in your brain? And if so, prove it. I think that's for Praise if I had to guess.
Yeah, like, to me, magic is a buzzword that atheists like to use. The traditional definition, you mean sleight of hand or something. So I don't even know how that's relevant. I don't even know what he means by magic. Does he mean like supernatural? I mean, he needs to clarify that. Yeah, and information too. I mean, I don't understand what he means by information. Does he mean like, like in your cell, or? I mean, I could even go into digital physics, and information is fundamental in the universe. It's not even natural process. So what you mean right there debunks your position, TJump, right there. So, I mean, there's plenty of citation I can show that.
Information in physics is a physical property of matter. It's not actually
No, it's not.
You can just Google the definition of information in physics. Leonard Susskind, one of my favorite examples. No, it's just a property of matter. It's not actually.
It's code.
Nope. It's just a description of a property of matter. It's like spin or matter. It's not fundamental.
Yeah, but Ben, I think his name was Ben with
Next. Praise, forgive me. I know that you got a response.
Ben Gates. Yeah, Ben Gates debunked that.
We next we will go to the question from Walter. Oh, actually, Genius Tracks. Thanks for your question, Genius Tracks. They asked, for praise, do you think with your mind or think with your brain? Or is your brain your mind? And how do you well, we'll go to, let's see, we'll break it up because there's two questions here. So we'll let you give a response to that, and then we can get to the next part.
I believe that the brain is actually in the mind, and I think there's, I mean, it's pretty compelling evidence out there that shows mind is fundamental. The double slit, even though there's even another double slit they did with the delayed double slit, even in space.
It was the delayed quantum eraser.
Right. And they even did this in space, and it still shows that the mental observer is what collapses the wave function. I mean, there's no amount of evidence you can show that shows this to the contrary. I mean, I'm waiting for that evidence.
Gotcha.
Right, we can't show that it's not caused by magical leprechauns either, but we have the better explanation because he makes testable predictions.
Circular.
We are going to go to the next one. Walter White. Thanks for your question, Walter. And he says, did you mean Anton Zeilinger? Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the name. And he said, how did he prove mind over matter? I'm not sure who that's for.
The Zeilinger studies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Zeilinger falsified realism, and that shows that reality is not objective. That means nothing is. That means you can't say material is objective. So you can't start with the premise that material even exists because you can't even demonstrate material actually exists, and that's the point of idealism. I mean, that's pretty empirical evidence right there. Idealism is true.
Sean Carroll falsified idealism because you can't show that idealism is actually a thing. You can't give a definition of it. It's just not even real. So it's been falsified by Sean Carroll.
Yeah, I like to see that. But
Next up, we appreciate your guys' passion. Oh, wait, hold on. One sec. We have more questions, and I promise we're gonna read them. Just wanted to mention Steve McRae over at the Great Debate Community, which I'm about to pull up. I just wanted to plug their channel. If you love debates on these topics, want to let you know about the Great Debate Community if you haven't heard about them, as they love to host topics just like these. And also, of course, Non Sequitur Show has debates on religion and philosophy, as well as capturing Christianity. Our point is we just want to let you know where these debates are occurring, and then you can decide if you want to check them out. Whether you're here or at another channel, we want you to know about where those debates are so you can enjoy them. So,
TJump's channel too. That's a good one.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, TJump's channel as well. TJump's channel is basically nothing but debates. And if you enjoyed this, you're like, oh snap, Tommy's a good debater. Tommy Gunn only fights in the ring. You know what movie that's from? I Will Be Pumped. But yes, Tom Jump only fights in the debate ring, and you can check out his debates at the link below. You can also check out our other guest, Praise, who's also linked in the description. And with that, we'll jump back to the questions. So thanks so much. Iron Charioteer, we appreciate your question. He asks, ask Praise, split brain patients have two separate brains. One can be an atheist and another religious. Do they go to heaven, or just the half that's religious?
Yeah, and I can address this, and the way we explain it as the brain is a computer. If the computer has a glitch in it, it doesn't change the immaterial or conscious. I mean, the immaterial. What I say is consciousness is immaterial. That doesn't change that, or the spirit. And they do go to heaven. And you read Deuteronomy 139. It says those are like children, or even children themselves, children like or children in the mind, go to heaven. And you can read this in Deuteronomy 139. Jesus said the same thing.
Wait, so does that mean if there's even a tiny part of my brain that believes in a God, that I get to go to heaven?
It depends if you have a real like a psychological disorder or mentally ill. Then yes, God doesn't hold that against people. Unlike Calvinists, what they claim.
Gotcha. we have another question from Midwave. If I'm pronouncing it right, let me know. If I'm not, let me know. They asked, have you... Have you or science observed or experienced matter? That's a question for TJump.
Yes.
Great question.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms.
So when is it a
quarks,
proton? When it's spinning? Is the proton spinning or the electron spinning, or when it's not spinning at the same time? When is it an electron?
When it interacts, it's an electron. It's the interaction itself, which is what causes it to be matter.
Let's call the class of the wave function.
Which is purely explained by naturalism. So yes, it is. It's natural and it's matter.
It can't be by definition. Oh gosh.
Got a next.
Yes, matter can't be matter by definition of not.
So it can't collapse the wave function by definition.
Hold on. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to cut. I know you got a response, Tom. Just Patient Beard asks, question for praise. Good to see you, by the way, Jared. Jared's been on the channel debate a number of times. I always... Have you guys ever seen that debate with Patrick and Jared? That was awesome. Okay. Patient Beard asks, for praise is, if everything moves by my will, how do I blow up the pineapple with my mind?
Yeah, and to me, that's a distortion of idealism. It just means that you have control over yourself and your mind. It doesn't mean like we can, move planets with our mind, or anything like that. So I think that's kind of a straw man there.
Next, Slam RN. Thanks for your question. Good to see you, Slam. They ask, for Tom, are you a strict determinist?
Not exactly. Like I don't claim to know anything absolutely. So I would take the position that I'm a determinist because I don't know. There's only two possibilities as far as I can know. Either it's determined or random, and there's only different combinations of those things, and there's not really a third option that can enter into that. So as far as I'm concerned, determinism is the only explanation that we can reasonably assume or explain is there.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Next, emotionally stunted emoticon. Question for praise. Since information is always stored and processed on physical space, such as disks, hard drives, neurons, how does an immaterial mind, quote unquote, receive, store, process, and transmit information?
Yeah, and that's what the brain is for. It's like a computer. God designed a fantastic instrument to process information. But the soul is within, you can say, within the brain, or in part, it could be part of inside, and it's hard to explain, but I would say that it's the brain processes information.
You bet. Thanks so much. Walter White. Question for Tom. Wanted me to ask if Tom knows Roger Penrose's work, and what is his take on it. And then he said, I thought Christina Praise, it says, I think Christian Praise would like Penrose.
Yes, I do love Penrose. I love his stuff. And he is not a strict materialist at all, but he's not necessarily a theist either.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a dualist. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think he thinks consciousness is its own thing, and the materialism is a different kind of thing. I believe that's his interpretation of it. But again, his position is not the majority in physics.
Gotcha. You bet. And next up, Iron Charioteer asks, praise, is quantum entanglement proof for God?
Absolutely. Because consciousness is a fundamental factor of entanglement. When you reduce it, like I was saying, what observes that? What observes that? It just goes to an infinite regress of observers. That's why when you have what they call the measuring device, whatever, that it just that can be collapse into a wave function. So it just becomes it has to be a non-local immaterial force that is collapsing all wave functions.
Gotcha.
Oh, apologize just to interrupt for a little bit.
Okay.
Cam Spears found the study for me of the Zellinger vapors. And it says, question 7, page 7, question 10, does an observer play a distinguished role in the wave function collapse by consciousness? And the response was 6%, exactly like what I said it was. It was not 20%.
Yeah, and I responded with Wigner's friend experiment this last year, and that completely debunks that as well.
This is the study you cited that he found. It's 60%, 6%.
But it's really 22 though, and I'll show you the citation for that. But even that is irrelevant too because of Eugene Wigner's friend. Just look that up. The Wigner's friend experiment.
Gotcha. Next up, we have from Cam himself. Cam Spears.
Wigner's friend is a thought experiment, not a physical experiment. Oh God! Wow.
There's nothing even such thing as a physical experiment.
We have Cam Spears asking, do you think that the GHZ experiments falsify realism? Do you think that Zellinger agrees with you?
Is that to me or Tom?
Yeah, it's you, because I won't say anything.
Okay, my guess is it's for you, Praise.
I have to look into that more. I'm not really familiar with that, so I can't answer that right now. So yeah, that's my answer right now. Is I don't know.
Gotcha.
The answer is nope. He definitely does not. He definitely does not.
We got another question from Disciple of Kairos, and thanks for that question, Jim Majors. He says, can you ask praise for one example of something being created from nothing?
Yeah, he's going to have to define what nothing is. Does he mean the philosophical nothing? Or does he talking about Lawrence Krauss's nothing? You know, for Lawrence Krauss's nothing, easily God could use quantum mechanics to bring, bring upon, the material, or what we call material would be a simulation in the reality. So, absolutely, through the mind. Because God is the observer of all. He observes things into existence.
Gotcha. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. And thank you especially to our speakers for getting in the hot seat and having this fun debate/civil discourse. I want to mention we are excited about several things. I want to quick give this a plug. We used to plug these guys a lot, and we're not sponsored or anything. If anything, we want to sponsor them. We're just kind of trying to let more people know about Be the Match. We're trying to get the word out. This is basically a bone marrow donor registry. So this is not asking for your money. They are asking for your bone marrow. And the reason is basically they take care of all of the expenses. They send you a cotton swab package in the mail, and you just take a swab of your cheek on the inside of your mouth, and you send back your cotton swabs, and they look for a match. And 1 in 430 people that send back their cotton swabs typically are asked to come donate their bone marrow. It's all expenses paid. Like, you don't pay anything. They cover it. They're just looking, like I said, for bone marrow, and it's used for people with leukemia, which is basically cancer of the blood. So this is something that saves lives. It's a huge deal. We are just stoked about this program, and this is one also that we think everybody would agree with. Whether you're atheist, Christian, I don't think that there is anybody that would disagree with this. So we're hoping that this is something that unites everybody. And as mentioned, they do not want your money. If you want to give your money, you can, but what they're actually asking for is your bone marrow, as mentioned, that can save lives. So again, I want to say thanks to our speakers. We are thrilled to have had them here. They both have their links in the description. And yeah, we're stoked. This is, honestly, I just enjoy this so much every time I get to do it. We've got a number of debates coming up this weekend, including one of them with TJump himself. He is taking on the prodigy Gregory, who, if you haven't seen Gregory yet, he is 12 years old. I'm not joking, he's 12. He looks like he's maybe even younger than 12. And he is a real life prodigy. He is very intelligent and he is extremely well read. So I think he and Tom will be a worthy matchup, be a tough one. Also, we are hosting a number of other debates this weekend. That's just one I wanted to mention since Tom happens to be here. So we appreciate, again, our speakers being here. We owe them. And, go ahead.
I got Capturing Christianity tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome. Go ahead. What was the topic?
What is the correct epistemology for religion with Dr. Trent Dougherty?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that's radical. Definitely check that out. I've heard of Trent, or I've met Trent. So I think that'll be a really interesting debate. And yeah, Edgar Ekurer. Saw you just subscribed. Thanks for subscribing. We're glad to have you with us. If there's anybody that subscribed during the stream and I didn't see it, sometimes it doesn't show on the screen. Forgive me for missing you, but we want to let you know we're thankful to have you here. As mentioned, we're shooting for a platform of free speech where everybody feels treated well by the channel, and that's regardless of what view they come from. We are just want to mention too, this is a really exciting one. It's hopefully the stream doesn't explode. G-Man will be debating someone who identifies as Black Hebrew Israelite next week. So that is going to be a controversial one. It's going to be like, oh my! So it's going to be interesting to say the least. They are passionate. So,
James, you mind if I give a closing? Do we have time for that, or?
See, as long as Tom's allowed as well, would you guys like a quick summary if you want to wrap up to draw together the threads from the debate?
Yeah,
sure.
You bet.
Can we go first, or don't matter to me?
You
okay.
Bet.
In closing, I'm giving more than sufficient evidence the mind is immaterial, verified by empirical science. Furthermore, Occam's razor validates theistic idealism as the parsimonious and coherent position to have, therefore negating a God of the gaps argument. Scientific materialism just begs the question, is circular and is special pleading. That's all I have to say. And thank you.
Yeah, I think his closing speaks for itself. I'm good.
We appreciate everybody being here, and as mentioned, both links are in the description. So with that, I want to say just one more time, thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody's question. We were also excited. I just got one really quick little announcement in addition. We're in the process of where we will upgrade our hardware due to a generous donation of hardware, and then we're using super chats to basically have somebody put in a new, hard drive. We're basically going to have an improved stream where our picture will be better than it used to be, because once we get the hard drive on this new computer switched out, we will be moving to that computer, which has got a little bit more horsepower. So anyway, stoked about that. Thank you guys so much for your support. This channel truly is like your channel. It's an abstract entity that is the result of everybody's contributions and ideas. So we really appreciate that, and keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Take care, everybody.